This class will be about 45 minutes. We're going to be focusing on core and arms today, but no need to panic. There will be a lot of variations, so if anything's not working for you, you can absolutely do a move that we've done before and kind of make it your own practice. So if you're able, it would be great if you could set up your mat so that the long edge is facing the computer screen with your left arm towards the computer. No worries if it doesn't work out. And when you're feeling ready, you can take any blocks that you've got, or books or other objects, soup cans even, kind of put them on both sides so they're ready for you later. We're going to start on our backs, so allow your spine to make full contact with the mat. And let's start to turn our attention to the breath. Imagine it washing over you. You can take a moment now to set an intention for this yoga practice. The intention can be a feeling that you want to cultivate, maybe some spaciousness, maybe feeling strength or power or relaxation. It can be a move that you want to practice too. But even within the posture, I recommend that we aim for nourishing reasons, not doing a posture just to look a certain way, but because we want to feel the feeling that it evokes. From here, let's very slowly drag our left heel back so that the left knee is bent and foot is flat on the mat, noticing how the deep core automatically activates when you do so. And now let's do the same with the right heel. Slowly drag it back, bringing the heel towards its counterpart, bending the knee. Once you have your feet flat on the mat, knees bent, press some weight into the feet so that your back is fully flush in full contact with the yoga mat. From here, you can take your arms and place them palm side down on the floor beside your hips. Let's now imagine our legs getting a little lighter, feet slowly losing contact with the mat, and then raising up into the air so that our knees are above our hips. And now, while keeping our low back in contact with the mat, slowly lower the feet down towards the mat. Repeat this a few times, noticing that the slower you move, the stronger this action is. It's nothing too complex or impressive, and you can do it quickly with almost no effort. But it's one of these many movements in yoga where less is more. Join the action to the breath, maybe inhaling as you lower the legs, exhaling to raise them. Feeling that little activation, or a lot of activation happening in the core. Great, let's all return the feet to the mat. Allow the knees to fall out side to side, just to release any tension that's developed in the back. The knees definitely don't need to touch all the way to the ground. From here, let's now just raise the left foot off the mat, keeping the right foot planted. Let's turn our left knee out and place the left ankle on top of the right thigh, coming into a figure 4 pose. This is enough for some folks, but if you're not feeling any sensation in that outer left hip, reach between the legs, interlace the fingers behind the right thigh or over top of the right shin, and hug the legs gently in towards the chest. You can use your left elbow to push outwards on the left knee, and slowly turn your attention to the breath, feeling it wash over any tension or any lengthening that's happening in that outer left hip. You can pause here for stillness, making sure that your shoulders aren't clenched up towards the ears. Allow them to float back down towards the mat. And notice if you actively kind of flex your right knee and bring your right knee closer to your chest using the power of your leg, you can sometimes get a little bit of extra sensation without over relying on those shoulders. We'll be here for 2 more breaths. Great. Now let's allow that right foot to fall back towards the mat. Uncross that left leg so that the left foot is planted beside the right. And now let's do the opposite. You can slowly raise your right foot off of the mat, turn it to the side, and then place your right ankle on top of your left thigh. Notice if this feels enough already. We don't want to overstretch our hips. If you're craving a little more, let's reach behind that left thigh, interlace the fingers behind the thigh or the shin. There's not one that gets more benefits than the other. It's just whatever feels good in your body. And let's hug the legs close to the chest, maybe using the strength of our left thigh to create a bit of extra sensation in that right hip. Imagine the breath is smoothing out any tension that's developing in that outer right hip. We'll be here for another 2 breaths. Excellent. Let's allow that left foot to replant back onto the mat and uncross the right foot so that we are landing with our low back flush against the mat, feet planted. From here, let's take our palms, interlace our fingertips behind our head, and use our thumbs down our neck to create a soft little cradle. We are getting set up for crunches, so notice if that makes you feel a certain type of way. And now let's raise our knees above our hips just like before. From the strength of our core, let's imagine ourselves planting our low back further onto the mat, and notice how that kind of automatically and magically elevates the shoulders a little bit. Try not to crunch the chin towards the chest too much. Leave the neck long and elongated. And now let's bring our right elbow towards our left knee and extend out the right leg. Inhale to return to the middle. Exhale to bring left elbow to right knee. Repeat this on your own time with your own breath, knowing you can take a break at any time. There's no yoga competition going on. It's really just you trying to create the sensation and the feeling and the degree of heat that's working for you today. Let's take another breath to even out the sides. And then let's allow our shoulders to fall back towards the mat, palms go down towards the hips, and let's land the toes. Let's bounce them a few times. They'll kind of naturally land in a safe position for the hips as we press through the heels to plant the low back onto the mat and continue to press through the heels to raise the hips into a bridge pose, Setu Bandha Sarvangasana. On your next exhale, very slowly and carefully place each vertebrae down individually. This takes some core articulation and strength. Once you've landed, on your next inhale, press into the feet to raise the hips once again. Repeat this action a few times following your own breath. The next time your hips are rising, you can raise your arms up overhead to make this a full body maneuver. And then when the hips fall as you exhale, lower the arms to land beside the hips. You can play with this a few times, noticing a little bit of freedom that we're cultivating in the shoulders, the massage that's happening between the shoulder blades, which is nice if you spent some time at a desk today. And if you want, you can even reverse the action so that the arms are down as the hips are in the air, and then the arms go up overhead as you lower the hips. You can play with both sensations and just notice how they feel different in your body. I find a little bit more sensation, a little bit more intelligence in my core when I have the arms going down as the hips come up. Wherever you're at, let's even it out. Allow the hips to fall towards the mat And let's bring one knee into the chest, bring another knee into the chest, and rock and roll side to side to give the low back a bit of a massage. All right, we'll do a little bit more core work while we're down here. I invite you to extend one heel up towards the ceiling and the next heel up towards the ceiling, almost like we're going to put footprints onto the ceiling. They don't need to be super straight. Find a good balance between effort and ease. Totally okay if they're fairly bent. Once you've found that balance, I invite you to reach up with your shoulders and see if you can bring your palms a little bit closer to the feet. Maybe they can even touch. If they're down here, you can reach up with your palms. And let's do 5 crunches in this fashion. Exhaling as you go up, inhaling as you go down. Moving on your own time with your own breath. If you took a break or if you're on your last crunch, let's all pause with our fingertips towards our toes and see if you can pulse here 5 times without fully coming down to the mat. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Let's allow our shoulders to come back to the mat. Legs are up in the air. Let's now take our palms, interlace them behind the head, make the little cradle for the neck with the thumbs just like before. And this time we are going to crunch up by planting our low back down to the mat. Allow that right leg to hover above the mat and bring the right elbow towards the left knee. Totally okay if they don't touch. Mine don't get anywhere close. Inhale to center. Exhale to bring left elbow towards right knee, left leg going towards the mat. Repeat this a few times, and if this is a lot, feel free to bend the knees and do the crunches that we did before. Whoops. Let's even out the sides. And when you're ready, let's bring it down. Let's push up into one bridge pose all together. Inhale to raise the hips off of the mat. Feel that release happening throughout the front of the body. And then exhale to plant the spine vertebrae by vertebrae. We're going to work on rocking and rolling to a seated position. If this doesn't work for your body, you can go to the side and press up. But if you'd like to experiment, let's bring our feet off the mat, place our hands behind our thighs, and start to rock and roll up. If you want a little bit of a fun game or challenge, repeat this a few times and try to get your feet a centimeter away from the mat without touching the mat. It takes an interesting amount of deep core articulation. And it's just a really nice massage on the spine. Great. The next time you are seated up, pause here. And we're actually going to raise our shins a little bit so that they're more or less parallel to the earth. Loop the shoulders up, back, and down to really feel the spine engage as we pause in a Navasana boat pose. If you're feeling good here, feel free to release the hands side by side, almost like someone's going to drop, I don't know, something precious into your arms, or like you're trying to catch a beach ball. And from here, we're now going to pretend like we are falling through anti-gravity space. So just allow your body to sway side to side, noting the slower you move, the more work it is. You can allow yourself to fall onto the mat, reach up, pretend like you're moving through water, or better yet, through Jello. Noticing how this activates different parts of the core. There's no right or wrong way to do this move. And we'll be here for 3, 2, 1. Let's plant the palms, fold over towards our knees. And let's shift the weight side to side or pause in stillness, whatever your body is craving for a little break. Really nice, everyone. So we're going to transition now to tabletop. We're going to take our right leg and cross it over our left, take our left arm and place it on the mat with the fingertips facing away from us. Don't overthink this, it's not too complicated. Reach up and over with the right arm to spin out into a tabletop pose. Really nice. If that didn't work for you, you can experiment with it a few times. Or if you're like me and you love this move so much, feel free to do the opposite side. Cross the left leg over, reach up and over with the left arm. Once we've gotten to our tabletop, we'll play with some cat-cow positions. For the cow, we'll drop the belly, pull our heart forward, feel the lengthening through the front of the body as we inhale, and then exhale to round the spine, imagining the back of the body lengthening for our Halloween cat pose. Let's move with your own time on your own breath, playing between these two poses. Should feel really nice after the core work that we just did. I now invite you to close your eyes and start to move organically between your cat and cow. And you don't need to close your eyes, but do tune into your own body sensations. Maybe you want to rock your hips back and forth a little bit. Maybe you want to swing them side to side. Find what is feeling good for your body today. I should clarify, I am recording myself on a separate device, but none of you will be recorded, so feel free to make this movement as wacky as you want. Let's take another 2 breaths to meet in the middle with the neutral spine in your tabletop. Let's do some arm circles here. So we'll keep our palms planted and circle the shoulders above, making sure that our elbows are straight but not totally locked out. Let's reverse the circle in the other direction, giving a bit more of a warm up for our wrists. Nice. We can now take our palms and turn them out so that the fingertips are pointing to the side, so to the long edge of the mat, and then you can shift your weight side to side, feeling that opening happening throughout the forearms in particular, maybe even a little bit of sliding across the shoulder blades. If it's available to you, you can experiment with placing your palm on the mat and turning the fingertips towards your knees. You might find it a little easier to inch up the knees closer to the palms. Make sure that the elbows have a little bit of a micro bend in them, and you can gently rock back and forth side to side, making sure to not overdo it. It should feel good and not at all tense within the wrists. If this isn't available to you, continue on with those arm circles. You get the exact same benefits either way. Great. Now let's return to our classic tabletop, and let's take our right palms and place them facing up so the back of the right hand is onto the mat, leaving a bit of a micro bend in that elbow. Open and close that right hand as you make fists. And this should feel really good throughout the forearms, maybe even a little bit up into the shoulders. If that's not working for you, you can also just sit on your heels and circle your wrists. Now let's do the same thing next side. Left hand, let's place the back of the left hand onto the mat. Open and close the palm a few times. Cultivating a sensation of lengthening and opening throughout that left forearm in particular. Great. Now let's return to our neutral tabletop. If your toes weren't already tucked under, tuck them under. And let's imagine as though we're pulling back our hands and pulling our knees forward without actually moving them. And use that little bit of activation on the core to effortlessly float the knees, maybe an inch or 2 off the mat. We'll pause here for 3, 2, 1. Try not to drop the knees, walk the palms out just another half foot in front, and then let's send the hips up and back to a downward facing dog. We're going to be pressing out from the palms, feeling that strength and protraction in the shoulders. Imagine that you're scooping out your spine just like you're in cow pose. Bend through the knees and then allow the heels to fall towards the mat. It truly does not matter if they touch. You can pedal out the feet, maybe sway the hips from side to side as we enjoy the lengthening in the hamstrings in this first downward dog of our practice. Lovely. Knowing it is an option to come to your knees anytime, you can still get some great, excellent benefits. Wherever you're at, see if you can start to walk the feet towards the palms, meeting at the top of the mat in an Uttanasana forward fold. Bend through the knees, notice how that lengthens the sensation in your back, and maybe straighten through the knees and notice how that lengthens the hamstrings. Play between those two options, finding a spot where you feel that there's equal lengthening through the low back and the hamstrings. Imagine that you're a pool floaty and you're starting to be inflated as you rise to a halfway lift position, sliding the palms up onto the shins, back flat, looking right down in front of you. And now imagine that you're being deflated and all parts of your body are equally folding over towards the earth. Let's do that one more time, but on your next inhale, we'll slowly inflate all parts of your body equally. Feel the weight shift back into your heels as you slowly rise to Tadasana standing position. Great, you can allow the arms to meet up overhead. And then for a bit of shoulder activation, press into the palms as you slowly bring the thumbs down towards the breastbone. Let's repeat that maneuver. Inhale the arms up overhead, feel your whole body inflating. And then on the exhale, press the palms together to bring them down towards your breastbone. Great. From here, let's shift our weight a little bit to our left foot and raise our right foot up. You can experiment with that a few times, feeling the left side of your body catch you. And I'd actually invite you to place your palms on your hips for this maneuver. Let's now just step back with the right foot, not too far, feeling like you've got a spot where you can bend your knees and you've got some movement and mobility. Nice. We're going to make sure that our back heel is planted. Our right toes will be turning out maybe about 45 degrees or so. We'll bend into that front knee and see if you find your pelvis kind of being tilted backwards. Pretend like we're doing that movement of crunching again, where we're using our abs to bring our pelvis into alignment. Should feel some nice opening through at the front of the right hip. Let's reach up and over with our arms, and then I invite you to cactus the elbows and bring your shoulder blades together like you're trying to hold a pencil between them. Should feel a really nice opening across the front of the shoulders. Great. On your next exhale, allow the arms to fall to the sides and lengthen through that front leg, almost like we're flapping the arms down. Great, and then on the next inhale, reverse that, bend through the front knee, arms go up and back to our cactus. Play between these movements on your own time with your own breath. Inhaling up and open, exhaling to lengthen through that front leg. Inhale up and open, and then exhaling to lengthen through the front leg. Take your time, but the next time your front leg is lengthened, let's now tilt our body forward, reaching back with the arms, coming into a pyramid pose or Parsvottanasana. Hopefully you've got your blocks nearby, and these are optional, they're not mandatory at all, but I do invite you to pour your body over that front left leg, and you can use your blocks to bring the earth closer to you. No need to completely straighten it out. If you don't have blocks or props available, you can bend through that front leg and use your fingertips. You'll still get the same sensations. Let's pause here for 3 breaths. Making sure that our hamstrings feel nourished. If there's too much tension developing, we're really not serving ourselves. So I invite you to come up a little bit higher. You can even place your hands on your leg if you wish. Great. Now everyone, let's scoop up the air, bend through that left leg, pause in our Virabhadrasana 1 or Warrior 1. And now listen for the change. We're going to turn our right toes towards the long edge of the mat, left toes towards the long edge of the mat, pausing in a wide-legged posture. If you feel like your feet are a bit out of alignment, take a second. And now let's turn our heels inwards, toes outwards, as we slowly sink down into a goddess pose. Awesome. This can be intense, so if you want to stay up a little higher, totally fair. We'll pause here for stillness for 3 breaths. Great. Let's now press out of our legs, flapping our arms down just like we did before. Let's turn our left toes towards the right, right toes already facing towards the right. Place our palms out in front of us like we're painting a wall, and plant our palms to frame that front right foot. Feel free to lengthen out your stance if you need as we pause in this lunge position. You can rock back and forth, feeling a nice opening throughout the front of that left hip. And now let's press into the palms, lift off and step back to plank pose. Knowing you can come to your knees at any time, you get all the same benefits. From plank, we're going to shift our weight forward, bend through the elbows and come all the way down onto the mat. Untuck the toes and rise up into a baby Bhujangasana Cobra pose. Should feel really nice to lengthen the front of the body. On your next exhale, you can lower down towards the mat. When you're ready, tuck the toes under and press up either to your knees or to full plank. From here, let's press up and back to downward facing dog. Pedal up the feet once more. Now there's an option to come to your knees and do this next set of movements from your tabletop. If a three-legged dog is in your practice, shift your weight to your left foot and raise your right leg into the air, toes pointing down towards the earth. On your next exhale, bend through the right knee. Shift the weight forward, bringing your right knee towards your nose. And then inhale as you return to three-legged dog. Lovely. On your next exhale, bend your right knee towards your left elbow or left tricep. Pause here. And then inhale it back. Next, let's bend that right knee towards your right elbow. Pause here. And instead of sending it back, we'll now place that right leg onto the floor, rotating it out a little bit. We're going to set up for pigeon pose or Ekapada Kapotasana. So walk back your left leg a little until your left knee is on the mat. You can untuck those back toes. Imagine yourself kind of squeezing your legs together and using that elevation to reach up for your pigeon pose. If this is a lot, feel free to use your blocks for some support, or you can place your palms or fingertips on the earth. Great. Pause here. And then ever so slowly on your next exhale, you're welcome to try walking your palms out further in front of you. Maybe coming down onto your forearms. Maybe even coming down all the way to the mat, using your palms to create a little pillow for your head. Whatever you choose, go super slowly. Don't make any assumptions. I got a really bad hamstring injury from pigeon pose before, just from moving too quickly into it. So it's a pose that will treat you very well if you treat it well. As you rest on your mat, feel any sensation of opening in that outer right hip, just like we did in our figure 4 position. Knowing that if this is too much, totally fine to be up here. You're still getting all the same benefits. Moving on your next inhale, let's slowly press up with our palms. And this is a really fun transition. Also, don't overthink it. Let's sit back onto our right hip. Bring our right foot towards our inner left thigh and reach up and over. Yeah. For a one-legged stretch. Great. A lot of the time people are so bent on like grabbing the toes here, and that's fine. But try to see what happens when you really shine your heart up and forward. You'll notice a great lengthening happening throughout the right side of the core, right obliques. On your next inhale, let's reach up and over with that right palm and plant it. And then reach up and cactus your left arm back as we come into the supported side plank. You can lower your hips, press off with your right arm, reach up and over towards the left leg. And then on the next breath, plant that right palm, reach up and back. You can play between these two movements on your own time with your own breath, knowing that you can also pause anywhere that is serving you. Wherever you're at, I invite you to now turn towards your right, palms planted down, right knee is on the mat, left leg extended back behind you. And let's send our hips up and back to downward facing dog. Pedal out the feet. We'll pause here for 3, 2, 1, and now let's all lower the knees to the mat. Feet together, knees apart, slide back into a Bhaktasana, child's pose. This is a great opportunity to grab a sip of water and take a little break. All right, same thing next side. So let's all meet back in our downward facing dog, moving on your own time. Once you're in downward dog, let's slowly walk our feet towards our palms, meeting in a forward fold at the back of our mat. Find the right amount of knee bending for you, and we'll slowly inflate to halfway lift on your inhale. Exhale to fold. On your next inhale, let's slowly inflate all the way up to our Tadasana, really savoring the journey it takes to get there. Arms will meet up and overhead, and press the palms together, pull them down towards your chest. Excellent. Let's do another one of those. Inhale to circle the arms up overhead, maybe engaging a slight back bend. Press the palms down towards the chest. Great. From here, we'll place our hands on our hips and start to pick up that left leg a few times, feeling the right side of our body catch us. Once we've got some stability, let's step back into our Virabhadrasana 1. So our heels are more or less in alignment. Our left foot is planted and pointing out about 45 degrees. Right foot right in front of us. Feel free to shift the hips. Find a spot where you feel like your hips can really be mobile. And if your hands are on your hips, try to point them towards that short edge of the mat. Let's reach up and over, cactusing our elbows to really feel that opening sensation through the front of the chest. Great. On your exhale, flap the arms down, straighten through the front right leg. Inhale to reach up and open. You can move on your own time with your own breath. Feel free to experiment, maybe with mixing up where you inhale and where you exhale, and noticing how that in and of itself can create some different sensations for these simple moves. Great. The next time your front right leg is extended, let's pause here, no rush at all. And now let's reach back with our arms, tilt our chest forward, so it's about 90 degrees, or parallel to the earth, I should say. And the good opportunity to get your blocks, get your fingertips ready as we fold over that front right leg. Return to your breath, noticing how the breath itself can enhance the sensation of this stretch. Great, you can move your blocks out of the way, scoop up the air. Let's meet into our Virabhadrasana 1. And now let's turn our left toes all the way towards the long edge, right toes all the way towards the long edge. Feel free to get into a position where you've got some hip stability. Turn the toes out, heels in, and let's sink into a goddess pose. Now this time you're welcome to pause in stillness. If you'd like to experiment with a bit of arm movement, I invite you to reach up and over with your right arm and under with your left arm, feeling that sensation of opening along the right side. And then reverse the movement, reaching up and over with the left, under with the right, really trying to imagine pulling the arms apart and how that creates a sensation of openness in the core and the shoulders. Move on your own time and on your own breath. I like to start the movement as I inhale and then kind of shoot the arms out away from each other with the exhale. We'll be here for just 2 or 3 more breaths. Doing your best to savor the movement. All right, now let's turn towards our left, like so. Palms come down to frame that front left leg. And let's step it back to plank pose. From the knees or from the feet, we'll pause here in our plank, feeling some strength, cultivating some heat. For 3, 2, 1. Let's shift the weight forward, bend through the elbows to either come all the way down onto the belly And then press up either into cobra or into your upward facing dog. For upward facing dog, your thighs are lifted, backs of the feet are flat on the mat. And wherever you're at, let's now press up and back to downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Pedal out the feet to pause here, knowing that you can come to your knees and do this just as well from your tabletop position. Let's slowly rise up our left leg, rooting our right leg down towards the mat. On your next exhale, bend through that left knee, bring the left knee towards the nose. Inhale to send it back. Exhale to bend the left knee towards the right elbow, crossing over the body. Inhale to send it back. Exhale to bring that left knee to left elbow or left tricep, pausing here. And then let's place the knee down, rotating the leg ever so slightly, placing down our right knee, and maybe walking it back a little bit, coming into pigeon pose once again. Squeeze the legs together to reach up and back for your pigeon pose if you feel safe to do so. Make sure there's no crunching in the low back. Also an option to use your blocks here. You can experiment with different heights to create a different sensation of opening throughout that front right hip. And if it feels good to do so, ever so slowly, walk out the arms, maybe coming to forearms, maybe coming down to your mat. We'll pause here for 3 long breaths. Great, start to press into the palms, to rise on up. Just like before, we're going to sit back onto our bum, which should automatically bring our right foot towards our inner left thigh. Left foot towards inner right thigh. Reach up and over with that left arm and during the side stretch. Option to just pause here, maybe shining your heart up and down to feel that shearing action through the core. Or plant that left palm down, reach up, pressing onto your left knee and reaching up with your right arm into a supported side plank. Option to play between these poses, moving on your own time with your own breath. Wherever you're at, when you're ready, let's turn so that our palms are planted, left knee is bent. I'm kind of off my mat, so I'm going to shift forward. Right leg is extended behind us with the toes tucked. Let's now press into our palms, step it back to a downward facing dog. Lovely, let's pedal out the feet. And from here, let's now bend through our knees to plant them on the mat so that our knees are under the hips. You can untuck the toes or leave them tucked, doesn't really matter. And let's walk out the palms, slowly bringing our heart and chest towards the mat for a puppy posture. This can be really intense in the shoulders, so no need to go down too far. You can experiment with different lengths, but find a spot where you feel like you've got some sensation of opening through the fronts of the shoulders. If it's available to you, you can place your forehead on the mat, maybe massage it from side to side as you rock back and forth. Return to the breath, savoring this opportunity for rest. Great. From here, let's walk our palms back and let's sit our bum down towards our heels if it feels okay in your body. And let's sweep our arms back for a Balasana child's pose, bringing your forehead on the mat or towards it. And we'll be here for 2 or 3 breaths, noting that you can separate out your legs if the sensation of breathing is a little too intense with the belly right on the thighs. Excellent. So let's rise up into a kneeling position. You can circle out the wrists, give them a little bit of a break. opportunity to get some water. We're going to do that same sequence, but play with it a little bit. If anything we're doing isn't working for your body, feel free to return to the sequence that we just did. All right, when you are ready, let's walk our palms out, tug our toes under, and press up and back into downward facing dog. Option to either walk towards the palms or hop up to the front, meeting in an Uttanasana forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift, exhale to fold. Inhale to rise on up to your Tadasana mountain pose, reaching up and overhead and then pressing the palms together back down towards the sternum. This time, let's play with raising our right foot and see if you're able to come into a Virabhadrasana 3 by reaching back with that right foot, balancing on the left. Hands can be at the chest or for a bit of counterbalance, stretched out in front of you to use all that shoulder strength we've cultivated. And when you're ready, however you get there, let's plant that back right foot, reach up and over into our Virabhadrasana 1. This time, as you exhale, let's all tilt forward, leaning back or reaching back with the arms. Inhale to come up to Virabhadrasana 1. We'll do that just one more time. Exhale to tilt forward, lengthening through the front leg. Folding, option to use our blocks, fingertips, or whatever you have available. We'll be here for 3, 2, and 1. Let's scoop up the air. Really feel that opening as we cactus our arms, bending through our elbows in our warrior 1 position. Let's now tilt towards the long edge of the mat, heels together, toes apart, shimmy into position for goddess pose. From here, option to raise the right heel coming up onto left toes. Place it down. Try it with the left foot. Repeat this a few times, raising one heel at a time, welcoming any shake that's happening. And if you're feeling really ready, like you got a lot of support, try raising both heels at once and then lowering. We'll repeat this a few times, knowing that you can pause in stillness, you can take a break, you can do the arm movements from before too. We'll be here for 3, 2, and 1. Let's turn towards our right position, paint a wall to plant the palms, step back into a plank pose on your feet or on your knees. We'll pause and plank for 3, 2, 1. Shift the weight forward, bend the elbows, inhale up into upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale to press up and back to your downward facing dog. Just like before, we'll shift the weight to the left foot. Right heel rises into the air, toes pointing down. Bend through the right knee, exhale forward. Inhale to 3-legged dog. Bend through the right knee, exhale right knee towards left elbow. Pause here. Inhale to 3-legged dog. Bend through the right knee to right elbow, pause here. And now let's plant the leg down, meeting in our pigeon pose, reaching up and over. This time, we're now going to go directly from our pigeon pose to our stretch over our leg. And you can watch me for the change. You're welcome to do that same maneuver as before. If you feel like you've got some strength cultivated, see what happens when you press into your right arm and left leg to lift that right leg up into a fallen star position. You can maybe even extend through that right leg, maybe even grab the big toes with your left palm. If this is available to you, totally okay. If it's not, to get out of it, we'll just swing our body towards the earth, plant our left palm, and step back into 3-legged dog. So we have an option to play between these positions, bringing our knee forward, landing in our pigeon, sitting back into our leg stretch, pressing up into a fallen star, and then returning to 3-legged dog. Totally okay if you're like, Mel, that is insane, please stop. Wherever you're at, and it could just be resting in pigeon, And whenever you'd like, we'll pause here for another 5 breaths or so. All right, wherever you're at, let's meet in our regular downward facing dog. Good job, folks. Feel free to take a beat to get some water. We won't be here for too much longer. I'll do a little time check. Perfect. We'll do the same thing next side. I recognize it is 12:46, so if anyone needs to go, please do feel free. But if you've got some extra time, let's walk or jump up to forward fold at the back of our mat. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Slowly inhale to rise on up, circling the arms up and overhead, pressing down towards the breastbone. Hands onto the hips, and let's pick up the left foot, seeing if it's possible to maybe kick back with that left foot, coming back into Virabhadrasana 3 or Warrior 3. Hands can come to the chest or reaching out in front. We'll pause here for 3, 2, 1. Plant that back foot. Reach up and over. Exhale to tilt forward, lengthen through that front leg. Inhale to reach up and over. Exhale to tilt forward. This time we'll fold over that front right leg. And pausing for 2 more breaths. Great, bend through that front knee, reach up and over, really savor that opening across the chest. And now let's turn to the side, pausing in our goddess pose, maybe lifting the heels. We won't be here for very long. We've played in goddess a lot. We'll be here for 3, 2, 1. Turn towards the opposite side. Frame the front foot. Step back into your plank, either on knees or on feet. Shift the weight forward. Bring the belly down, either halfway or all the way, and then press up into upward dog or cobra. Wherever you're at, let's meet in downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet. Great. From here, let's shift the weight to the right foot, raise the left heel into the air, bend through the left knee, shift the weight forward. Inhale to 3-legged dog. Bend through the left knee, shift the weight forward, left knee to right elbow. Inhale to 3-legged dog. Bend the left knee to left elbow. And let's place it down into our pigeon pose. We can reach up and over with our pigeon. And then simply sit down, reach up and over towards that right foot. An option here to come on up to your supported side plank or all the way to your fallen star. Let's play with that set of postures one more time. If you're following along with me, totally okay if not. Return to our pigeon pose. Reach up and over. Sitting back down, reaching towards the right leg. Planting the left palm, pressing into fallen star. And then meeting back in our regular downward facing dog. Congratulations everyone, wherever you're at. Let's allow the knees to come towards the mat. An arms option to reach forward or sweep back as we meet in Balasana Child's Pose. We've completed the heat portion of our practice. Let's slowly feel our bodies return to a more neutral state. You can place your palms under your shoulders. Slowly walk out. Reach forward with the left arm and then roll onto your back. Feel free to take a minute to get readjusted on your mat. This is a good opportunity to do any final poses your body is craving. Bringing the knees in towards the chest, rocking and rolling side to side. Or pausing in stillness in your Shavasana. I'll do a little time check. It is currently 12:50, so if you have to go, please do feel free. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Sorry for going a bit over time. But if you've got some time, I'll call us out after about 2 to 3 minutes. Let's return to the sound of our breath and allow it to wash over us. Maybe reconnecting with the intention that we had at the start of the practice. And without judgment, just noticing if we were able to cultivate that particular feeling or sensation. Notice however you're feeling. Maybe it's a little more centered, maybe a little more peaceful, maybe just tired. But whatever you're noticing, think about whether or not you'd like to take some aspect of those sensations to the rest of your day. Maybe there's a sensation of determination that you want to bring. Maybe it's a little bit of inner calm and clarity. Perfect. If you're still with me, let's slowly invite some movement back into our body by circling our ankles and our wrists. Inhale the arms up overhead, lengthen through the body. Exhale to relax. Let's do that one more time. Inhale to lengthen, feeling some spaciousness that you've cultivated for your body today. And exhale to let it all go. You're more than welcome to continue to pause here in Shavasana. If you do want to get moving for your day, you can roll over onto your side, any side, and slowly press on up. Thank you very much for joining with me today. I hope you guys had a great time. Always happy to hear any comments or feedback.